What's going on, people? So, for those following along, watching these videos in chronological order and whatnot, you may have just seen this particular review. This is the other half of this here set, the Kadomatsu set. I believe I'm saying that correctly. It has something to do with Japanese ornaments or whatever. It's written on the side of the tag, but I tend to overlook a lot of the details when I do my reviews and just talk about what I see. It's kind of a character flaw in some ways. Some people don't even care though. But either way, so if you want to see some stuff about these, watch the review that was posted before this one. Anyways, so this right here, this is, according to the side of the box, Misty Pine and Seafoam Green. This is the pair that I had originally wanted whenever these first came up, right? I remember seeing them on Sneaker News one of the few times when I was actually like looking at the news of shoes and stuff. I was like, oh, well, those are pretty nice. And then everywhere that I could find them was overseas and was going to charge me, you know, normal overseas prices, which isn't bad. It's just it's more than I wanted to pay. But eventually, they did come in stock on the Asics site, and then they went away just as quickly as they showed up. But then later, I got a little alert saying that they were ready, so I went, bought them. Asics, they canceled that order because they were like, no, we don't actually have those in stock. I'm like, oh, well, okay, I guess. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and give some money to a few. I don't remember how much, but just know that it was more than I wanted to pay, in a way. And so now here we are. And then, of course, a couple days, I think 2 days after these arrived, I got another alert saying that they were back in stock on Asics. So they might be on there now. Maybe you can buy them for the normal price. I had to pay, if I had to guess, I'd probably say like close to $160 maybe, you know, when everything was said and done. But either way, let's move on from that. And let's go ahead and knock out a review on this right here, this Asics Gel Lyte 3 in the Misty Pine and Seafoam Green colorway. Not a bad looking shoe, I tell you. I've wanted these for a while. They do not disappoint. Those are my personal thoughts, all wrapped up. Now let's do a review that's not going to be so all wrapped up. Right here, down at the bottom, what you're looking at, it's a pretty standard outsole for this type of shoe. It's got a nice little green to it, kind of a light shade. Maybe that's the seafoam, or maybe that's the Misty Pine. I don't know. It's some kind of green down there. Moving on though. Up here on the midsole, what you're looking at is pretty much just your standard beige, off-white kind of color that you see on a lot of things. Except for down here on the back, they do have a nice little strip of green that kind of matches up with what you're going to see later on the upper, where it comes down to like the Asics logo and stuff like that. So there's that for you. But now, the actual upper of the shoe, that's the real thing that we're here to talk about, right? Because that's the main part of the shoe, for the most part anyway. At least to me. I don't know how you feel. But anyways, looking at this thing here, once you've seen a picture, like, you kind of get it. But we're going to dig down into some details, kind of, sort of, but mostly not really, and just show you some other pictures and talk about some things that you can see for yourself, right? So, down here around the toe box area, you've got this nice green suede going on. I can say green about anything on this shoe, so if you hear me say that a lot, just go with it. So you got this nice green going on down here on the toe box area around the outside. Nice suede, feeling pretty good. You do have a bit of a color change in a lot of the areas on the shoe. Sometimes it's kind of, you know, worn down looking because they have been laying around in a box for a little while, but that's just a thing that happens with suede, right? So anyways, moving on back here, you do have that same quality going on in the middle area and same color, and then moving on to the back end of the shoe, like where the heel is and all that stuff. Once again, same thing as the first two areas that we talked about, right? Now, you do have in the middle area a slightly lighter green, and that's kind of what makes up this Asics logo. And then as you saw, if you were paying attention, kind of swings around to the back where it has Asics Gel at the top. So that, everything I just covered, all in suede. I feel like I mentioned that before. And even back here on the toe box, that's also suede as well, which is a different form of green, but green all the same. So you get that going on in there. And as I was saying before, and maybe you can tell from the pictures, this shoe overall has got some pretty high quality feels going on, which is a good thing, because for the money that I spent on these, I would like them to be top notch, right? But even at their standard price of $110 or maybe $120 on the Asics site, definitely worth that price in my opinion, right? So I would suggest them if you're on the fence or anything, go with it. They've got a pretty generous return policy if you don't like them, so use that to your advantage. But anyways, moving back to the shoe here, you've got a lot of that suede going on pretty much everywhere, right? And then moving up to where the laces are, you've got outlining the laces, you got that same darker green suede going on with the lace holders that are kind of a plastic, more so matching up with what you saw on the toe box, just a little bit lighter, barely, but it could just be because the materials are different. Either way, you got that going on, feels pretty good. And the laces here, laces are pretty much your standard laces. They feel kind of weird to me. I don't really like the feel of them. They've got kind of that like waxy sort of thing going on, and they kind of have that like a slight gloss to them. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's like a minor thing, Once you wear them, you're probably not even going to think about it. I'm not going to. I don't know about you. But anyway, so you got that going on. And then behind the laces, because this is a standard Gel Lyte 3, you do have that split tongue going on down the middle, which is kind of cool. It takes a little getting used to for some people, but it's actually very comfortable when you wear them. So there's that for you. And as I was saying before, this construction of these is somewhat similar to a Huarache in that you have this outer area, this layer, and then you've got the inner layer. The only difference here being that the materials are suede all around. Your average Huarache, not so much. So you've got that, and then just kind of giving you another shot of the overall outside of the shoe. It's very much easy to understand what's going on here. You got a couple shades of green and a whole bunch of suede, right? So let's just go ahead and jump on into the inside and get this thing finished up so we can all move on with our Saturdays. So down there on the inside, on the insole, you've got that darker green with that slightly lighter green written out in Asics, right? So there's that for you. Not a whole lot to say. And then as far as the sock liner goes, it feels nice, but it doesn't feel like anything amazing. And that particular color matches up with more like what you saw on the outsole, and maybe somewhat close to what you see over here on these plastic lace holder things. So there's that for you. Now, since we covered everything about the outside of the shoe, and I'm pretty sure I gave you my thoughts earlier, we can talk about the sizing, right? Some people like to hear about that stuff. More people like to ask about that stuff than like to hear about it, I guess. I guess they just want me to tell them how it is, like in words, like written out words. It's freaking stupid to me. Anyways, sizing. These right here, I bought these in a 9.5 because that's the size that I buy in my shoes, right? It's my true to size, so I just tend to go with that for the most part on everything. Now, how does that work out on these? It works out great because these are a true to size fit. So if that's the information you came here looking for, you have it. And if you're leaving now, that's fine with me. Have a nice day. Now, for those of you still with me, let's go ahead and cover some other things, right? Now, I would compare the sizing of these to like an Air Max 90, right? Because they feel like they just kind of fit about the same to me. And now as far as the comfort goes, because that's a slightly different thing there, these, I gotta say, these are very, very comfortable. Like wearing these all day, no complaints, not a one, not out of me. The one thing to consider though, is that when you're looking at the different Gel Lyte 3s, overall, I haven't worn any that are uncomfortable of the different materials, but some of the older OG ones that you may be thinking of, like those Flash Crimsons and whatnot, different materials, they're gonna feel a little different overall. A little more breathable in some cases, a little less breathable in others, obviously. This one, I've only worn it around here, so I can't quite get into that, but overall, just as something to put on your foot and not be mad about when you're a couple hours into wearing it, these are going to be there for you. They've got that good comfort, so you're going to be all right. Now, past that though, I don't think there's really much else left to say because again, it's a true to size fit and a pretty comfortable shoe. So I guess we're just going to go ahead and wrap this thing up so we can all move on about our days. So I'm now done recording reviews for today. I've got one more review to do, but I'm thinking I'm going to do that one later. Whenever I do my, I have one other video to do, but that'll be tomorrow. It'll be my first quarter pickups, like everything I bought January, February, March. And I think I'll do that last review that day, right? Because I like to spread things out just a little bit so I don't have to sit around and do a bunch of editing all at once. Either way, I know a lot of you guys don't care about that, so have a nice rest of your day or rest your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm going to wrap things up here and go do post-review things, right? Later, people.